I wanna smoke weed, wanna get high with my drink, please don't think. Girl like that girl, pearl like that pearl, look, diamond at the diamond, look, choking like a hammer, and I cooler than motherfuckers know my rhyme be off the top, they can't stop my flow. Fully coolly, that dude, I'm the king. Cooper nigga, what the fuck you saying? Mugging me just like a junkyard dog, and I kill these nigga, who the fuck is y'all? Flexing hard, it's like Lex Luger, pulling up nigga with a big Ruger. Yeah.
What you eating, bro?
Straight bread.
Start tripping, now I'm blue. Mega man, I can't
can't win for losing cause I got too many haters, man. Used to be the paper boy, grew up now I'm mega man. Player 1, player 2, show your ass what players do. Up, down, left, right, hit on with a stronger time. Yeah, I smoke the strongest back. Tell me what is wrong with that. More coins in the laundromat, you can't help but honor that. Jam man, mega man, more games than the Sega man. All I smoke is chronic, run my coins just like I'm Sonic. From the hood, I speak Ebonics. That and economics, shorty, we can link like Zelda. Die broke, then you a failure. Stack your money up like Tetris. I don't know what else to tell you. Over here, everybody got a gun. My life is golden now. You wanna know why niggas die? Nigga, I just told you. I told the bitch we need to take a break cause she a space invader. Niggas do not know the game. Why? Cause they player haters. I'm a boss jam, man. I call me Dr. Eggman. My money stretched like jogging pants, rubber bands and headbands. Hopped up out that water, niggas trying to sink my battleship. Cause they bitch been bust open like a bag of chips. NBA jam, man. Bitch, I'm ballin'. Just learned a new move, I just don't know what to call it, man. I swear I lost my man, I had to snap back to reality. I ain't sparing nobody, finishing fatality. Bitch, start tripping, now I'm blue. Mega man, I can't win for losing cause I got too many haters, man. Used to be the paper boy, grew up now I'm mega man. Player 1, player 2, show your ass what players do. Up, down, left, right, hit on with a stronger time. Yeah, I smoke the strongest back. Tell me what is wrong with that. More coins in the laundromat, you can't help but honor that. Jam man, mega man, more games than the Sega man. Jam man, mega man, more games than the Sega man. I am the great Saiyan man. You better stop playing, man. This game can be difficult. Depends on how you play it. Yeah, the gangsters in my city.
it's hard when you don't get the time to do the things you gotta do. Always moving forward, always on the go. I hope you take a moment to take it slow. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Baby, take a break, it'll be okay. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Know sometimes that it doesn't make sense.
This camera quality ain't better.
It's a long night. Say goodbye, then hello. We came here from nowhere.
Yeah, it is pretty low.
Going towards the unknown. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Baby, take a break, it'll be okay. Let me be the one to ease your pain.
Oh yeah.
Hold up. Posting a distribute.
Instagram.
Let me be the one to ease your pain. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Baby, take a break, it'll be okay. Let me be the one to ease your pain. rain. You would not believe what has happened to me. You would not believe what my eyes have seen. You would not believe what has happened to me. No, you wouldn't, baby. When you're gone so far, when you're in so deep, there's no way to escape reality. Wonder if you still recognize me. You would not believe what happened to me. You would not believe what my eyes have seen. You would not believe what has happened to me. No, you wouldn't, baby. No, you wouldn't, baby. No, you wouldn't, baby. No, you wouldn't, baby.
I have an idea. Let's record a shitty intro. Just strum it. This is the Zach and Aakash show. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Zach and Aakash show. Today we have a guest star for our Friday show. Everybody say hi to John.
Hi, John.
So John and I go
Hi,
way back.
Mr. John.
John and I go
Hello.
way back. He's studying at URI. Tell everyone what you're studying about, John.
I am studying wildlife conservation biology. So basically just love the animals, you know? Tree huggers, unite.
And your favorite animal or sea animal is the
Marine animal is
cuttlefish.
cuttlefish, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Which are basically underwater chameleons, if you've never seen them before. They're kind of sick. They like stun their prey with their little tentacles. They do some vibrating shit. It's pretty cool.
They taste good
They're
too.
soft. They're soft on the outside, but on the inside they've got like these crazy jaws that rip apart crabs and stuff. It's insane.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Have you ever eaten one?
Have I ever eaten one? No, I don't
Yeah.
really eat fish, but I don't
Oh.
know if I'd eat a cuttlefish.
They taste good.
They're kind of getting on the threatened list.
Oh, really? Shit.
Yeah,
I should
can't really
probably
eat them, man.
should probably stop
The
eating them then.
cephalopods, man, they need help.
Facts.
Zach, you're frozen.
I know.
you-
Discord's fucking with my camera. It's like
Your eyes are all glazed over in the picture. I see of you right now.
it's like
Wait, Zach, why don't you just
wow, do
use
you
the
see that,
usual
dude?
overlay?
Yeah, dude, you just fast forwarded.
What usual overlay?
The overlay we usually use for the stream.
Because it blocks us.
Can't you shrink it?
Yeah, but then we'll be
Or
too
whatever.
small.
Doesn't matter
It's
for
okay.
today. We'll figure that out later.
It's
Cool.
okay. We're gonna have to figure that out later.
Alright.
But so
Anyway, real quick. Coffee bean of the day. Can't miss it.
facts.
Dude, I should have made a coffee.
Can't miss that cute boy.
I've got water.
Cheers, everyone. So
Yeah, let's see. We got a few people coming in now. Welcome, everyone. Good
so
morning.
guest star.
Mm.
Guest star. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I'm gonna talk about science, real science.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know what science is. You know, they kind of just look at a paper and go, "Oh, so that's what I should be doing. That's what I should believe." You know, you don't really know. I
It's
think the
relevant.
problem, I think the problem with people is that they kind of just don't want to dig too far in terms of research, and I understand that people don't have a lot of time. And so when you see something that looks, reliable, you kind of just take it how it is. Oh, well, this guy said this, so, and I sent you that link. If you want to try and share that at some point, I'll show you what I mean by
Do you
just
want
like random correlations.
me to hop into that right now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Oh fuck, that is not.
Wh-
That's it.
Okay, I was
I
gonna
like,
say.
I like opened a different page. I was like, oh
Yeah, there's a lot of links in that Discord.
yeah, yeah. That could have been bad.
Oh.
Okay, so we're looking at. Can you see it, Akash?
I can't see it.
Oh, John, do you want to send it over to him real quick?
Who's
And
Brian
other-
Lassie?
That's Brian. He's my
Hi, Brian.
roommate. You've played Minecraft with Brian.
Oh,
You
that guy.
played
Okay,
CS:GO
okay.
with Brian, yeah.
Yeah, I met John like a month ago when we all played Minecraft together. That's the only place I met John.
It's like a
You want me to send this
crossover.
link? I'm sending this to Aakash now.
Yeah.
Is that the deal?
Yeah, send it to me.
I'll
Let me
throw it in our
open
chat and like our Discord thing. Does that work?
Sure, which one? This one or
The one that we're in right now, I think.
I guess
Okay.
I'll describe it to the people on Spotify, but we're on tylervigen.com/spurious correlations.
That's tylervigen.com/spurious-correlations.
The heading text is red. It's red and black and white, and there's a bunch of graphs.
Yeah, well, it's basically just a website, and it's just to start off the conversation that we're gonna have because
Mhm.
it goes to show that basically anything can be correlated if you look for the trends. So you see the first one right here is U.S. spending on science, space, and technology correlates with suicides by hanging, strangulation, and suffocation. These things correlate, and number of people who drown by falling into a pool, films Nicolas Cage appeared in, 66% correlation, and that's why you can't really look at that and take that at face value because when someone asks you, show me how you got to this conclusion that these two correlate, what are the factors, what are the variables, is it testable, and can you show me a tangible outcome to this? And no, you can't. Like, how can you test this? There's no way to test it. And so I think that I had a lecture from one of my professors that I thought was probably the most important lecture in my entire college career so far, and that was that his main topic was talking about science and how it's not a belief.
Hmm.
So you go around and hear people say, oh, I believe in climate change. I believe in global warming. I believe in evolution. Well, no, you don't believe in it. It's just a fact. They're facts. They've been tested over and over and over again, which is why science is not a belief system. It's because I'm an atheist. I don't know how we feel about this, but if we talk about, if I asked a Christian or someone who believes anything, show me proof that your God is real, show me proof, I wouldn't get tangible proof from them, and that's why that's a belief, and that's
Mm.
okay. Believe what you want. But when it comes to science, when it comes to talking about, oh, I believe in global warming, it's you can't you understand what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can't say that you believe in it.
Well, the other day I saw some snow. So how warm is it really get?
Yeah, so that's actually why they changed it to from global warming to climate change, because
Oh, really? Is that?
yeah, that's the reason, because people said that all the time. So originally, people would say, oh, global warming, there's snow. A senator or someone going into a political meeting, I don't know, if I can't find the video, but he brought in a snowball into the meeting and said, global warming isn't real, there's snow outside.
Wacky.
Jesus Christ.
Wacky Wednesday.
It's stuff like that. It's the reason we have to change the verbiage we use. It's just ridiculous, because climate change has reached a gold standard in the scientific community, which means it's basically irrefutable. So
Makes sense. Very, very interesting.
yeah, so expanding, I guess, on the correlations here in the beliefs and non-beliefs. I've
By
seen
the
a lot
way,
of
is
yeah.
there any percentage of correlation that we can trust? So if it's like say like a 99%, can that still be
Okay.
fake? Is there still a way to, take random things and correlate it for
Yeah,
that high count?
that's what I was hoping to show with this website. Yeah, so it comes with peer review. The scientific community is all about peer review, all about looking at each other's work. So
Mm.
when you see, I don't know how much you guys read about, I don't know how much you guys have to read in school about, peer-reviewed stuff. Yeah, probably not that much. I know
Yeah,
you're
not at
computer
all.
science, but it's more technological than reading. So I have a lot of readings, and um, every discipline has its own journal. So I have the group of people that I work with most of the time is the Journal of Wildlife and Conservation. But we also refer to the Journal of Biology, Journal of, epidemiology, I don't know, whatever you want. And basically those journals are meant for scientists of those disciplines to come together and post their findings from their research, but have it reviewed over and over and over and over again before it can actually get posted to the public. And those are the ones that you can trust, because those papers have been read by every expert or a lot of experts in that field.
Wait, so which
How do you
papers?
know it's peer reviewed?
Wait, which papers are we supposed to trust? You say? What are they called?
So there's ones there. So I use Google Scholar most of the time,
Okay.
but if you look at peer-reviewed material, I think Google Scholar has a filter on it for peer-reviewed stuff,
Mhm.
and basically you can tell by just here. Let me.
There's a 95% correlation with per capita consumption of mozzarella cheese and civil engineering doctorates awarded.
Yeah, you can't really trust that at all. So let me see if I
Wow.
can find. Oh wait, you know what? I have a paper right around here somewhere
Just got to
that I
use
have that's peer-reviewed.
common sense for, figuring these things out.
Yeah, and even the papers that are peer-reviewed a lot on those sites, on those peer-reviewed journals, are still criticized heavily. People will write entire reviews on those journals and ask, should we really be following this data? Are they running out ahead of their data, even if the paper has gotten reviewed? So there's still people criticizing you even after your paper's been published and passed. So that's why like the scientific community is really amazing, because everyone kind of just checks each other's work. It's a checks and balances kind of deal, unlike a belief system, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's really important in what you should believe and what you shouldn't believe. We have a lot of cures to COVID-19, like disinfectant, but but in the
Pick
end,
up your Lysol jewels.
can you really believe that? No, obviously not. That's something that you should never believe. I don't know where my paper is, but I'm trying to find this so I can show you an example. Actually, maybe I can put it up on Discord.
So is there like somewhere on the paper where it says peer reviewed and you can trust that? Or can
Yes,
anyone
well,
just say peer reviewed?
no, it's so if I were to go to, the Journal of Wildlife and Conservation, Journal of Wildlife.
Is that a mechanical keyboard?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ugh.
So basically, if at the top of the paper, it reads that you're reading a journal, you can assume that it is peer reviewed. You can assume that people have read it and looked at it.
Mhm.
Basically, they have a ton of different issues of this journal. I think they're on issue volume 84, issue 4. So they have a lot. It's basically just a conglomerate of everybody's papers all put together. And that's what I think is really cool is that you have kind of a bunch of random stuff. So like, here's the top four. It's like African wild dog dispersal and implications for management, use of supplementary feeding dispensers for Arctic foxes,
Wow.
anthropogenic disturbance in population viability of woodland caribou in Ontario. So they just have a bunch of people's different papers all kind of lined up for you to read and look at what you want.
Oh, they really study everything, man.
Oh, dude, believe it. Believe it. They really do. I had to write 2 papers this semester actually, and one of them was about the abundance of waterfowl at a wildlife refuge near me in Narragansett, Rhode Island. And the other one was about phytoplankton versus temperature and abundance. So, I had to write a bunch of different stuff, but basically each journal uses references from other people's work. So in your journal, there's an introduction section. I mean, there's the abstract that comes first, which is basically just an introduction to what you're going to be talking about. Then there's a study area. You talk about your study, where you studied, your methods for how you collected all your data, and how you analyzed it too. That's important. How you analyzed it in Excel and took all your data together. Then there is the results section where you show your results and your graphs and everything, and then the discussion. And you talk about that, and through all of that, you're using references. You reference other people's work. This is how I know from Re and Gotham et al. Whatever. You know, that's the citation format, and people have tons of citations throughout their papers, and it's so everyone really uses each other to gain the most information. I think that's it's a pretty important part of science, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is that it's fact checked over and over again. So when you say, I don't believe that this is the case, well, look at all the people that read it and said it was the case.
Gotcha.
Okay, gotcha. Now, say there's something huge being debated in the media right now, right?
Mhm.
How easy is it to find 2 different peer-reviewed papers supporting opposite sides?
Okay, so this is actually something that we actually talk about too sometimes. Most of the time, when in terms of wildlife and in terms of what I do, most of the time, the reason that things differ from one another is because of the space that you live in, where you live, where you're doing your study. It's not because of the behaviors of the animals, because those are typically pretty similar, and you'd find those to be the same depending on the environment that they're living in. So it is sometimes you can find differing papers, but that's when you go to the people who are critiquing those papers and reviewing those papers, and you kind of have to make your own conclusions or do another study. Science doesn't really stop,
Gotcha.
so you kind of have to keep digging at it if it's a bunch of differing opinions. My face is so white on this screen, dude. There we go.
I know that. I know that feeling.
Or is there like bias within the community, the scientific communities?
There's a
And
lot of it,
like,
and yeah.
yeah, how do you go about dealing with that, right? Say there's a certain group of people that peer review each other who have a certain shared bias, and another group who doesn't share that
Oh, I
bias. How
see
does
what you
that
mean. I
work?
see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Typically, I don't actually think there is bias in that sense. These people are, scientists, and as a scientist, you're supposed to try and be unbiased. Um, so, in terms of people reading other people's papers in, the Journal of Biology, say, you're not going to have people being biased towards a certain topic because as long as every topic has results and, the methods to back it up, you're not going to find that people really disagree with it unless you're running out ahead of your data.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, so I think, you know, running out ahead of your data is another thing that people talk about a lot too, and it's just kind of what that means is just collecting data and making assumptions based on them without having the full picture.
Mhm.
So actually, to go back to your other question, I just remembered that there were so in Yellowstone
Yeah.
National Park, yeah. So there were actually two papers that differed. So there were most of the studies in Yellowstone are about the wolves there now, um, because they were extirpated and now they're back. So there's a lot of elk and other animals of that sort in that area, and they tend to eat a lot of the shrubbery and stuff around there and don't let trees grow. So there's like cottonwood there, and because the wolves weren't there, um, the trees were kind of not growing at all and they were kind of ruining the habitat. But when the wolves came back, people wanted to do studies to see, do the wolves being there improve the habitat. And there were two studies that actually showed different sides of it. So one was, the wolves didn't really help, but you can't. There's a lot of variables that go into it. You there's beavers there too that also change the ecosystem a lot. Did the wolves impact the beavers living there? And so those two papers that differed were heavily criticized and heavily reviewed, and people still don't know the answer. So a lot of times when you have a paper, when you have a bunch of papers in review that are all saying different things, people just have to keep testing.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
And that's what I find with a lot of the papers that I read, that there's just sometimes not a conclusive there's not a conclusion every time. And that's important as well.
Oh, do you find that the media mostly uses these fully peer-reviewed papers, or do you think they kind of pick and choose? Uh,
Um, Honestly, I don't follow the media that much, but when I do see what people are talking about in the media, I look at it very critically. Um, I've learned to not trust anything scientific on, you know, something like Snapchat or Instagram that you see. Don't ever like anytime you see that on those websites, it's probably to get you to click on it. It may have some weight to it, it may not, but the point is if you click on it, you shouldn't believe it at face value. I think that a lot of media platforms do kind of clickbait everything, and so they know that their audience retention is kind of low. And so when you read the first headline, it's like, oh my god, um, I don't know if you guys seen the dodo or whatever,
Yeah,
but it's basically this site for animal videos and stuff. And there was this video. It was like these two um, butterflies, like this one butterfly saves the other butterfly, and the butterflies were just mating. It's stuff like that it's just ridiculous to believe that when you go online and it just blows my mind. I can't believe all those things.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, man. Those Snapchat things are annoying.
Oh yeah,
I've
dude.
hated them ever since they
Yep.
added those.
They're so
There's
easy to click into too.
yeah, exactly, dude.
Dude,
That's the
and
problem.
they don't let you unsubscribe from them either. I kept trying
Really?
to hit unsubscribe, and
I'm gonna
it's
try
some
this right now.
UI glitch or something,
I'm gonna be
and it
upset.
keeps showing back up every time I click unsubscribe. Like,
Yeah, it's
stop! I don't
annoying.
want
I
this.
can't unsubscribe, dude. You're right. Oh wait, I unsubscribed, but it's still there.
They come back. Yeah, you can
Oh
They
try
my
come
again.
back
god,
in a while.
that's
Yeah,
so sleazy, dude. whatever. I have these meme accounts on here because I thought they were kind of funny before I got like tired of them, and they basically make everything just look like something sexual is going on, but
Yep.
it's not. You know? I'm like,
We should start doing that to get some click into this.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, and even stuff with political things. You know,
Mhm.
I woke up and I looked at something today on YouTube. It was like a video. Um, People always take things out of context. It was like finds Trump like proves or finds evidence that COVID was started in a Chinese lab. I didn't even click on it, you know, because when has Trump ever given us proof of anything?
That's true.
So you got to think, is this a reliable source? And it's really difficult to kind of discern that if you're not used to it. And I think that's a problem with a lot of people is that they didn't have that lecture that I had, you know. That lecture really changed my mindset about everything. And I can't like cover everything that was in it because, you know, I got the key points out of it that I needed to, but I think that I wish that guy would go and give that lecture to basically everyone he could because it really does help you understand the world a little bit better
Mhm.
in terms of what to believe and what to not believe.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, not believe. Let
Yeah,
me.
that's a swear
It's so
word.
hard to say. It's so hard not to say believe. You know, it's like what to accept and what to not accept.
What to conclude and not conclude.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you
So
go.
yeah, so not everyone is as savvy as us. For the whole pandemic, most of my conclusions I drew by myself on like paper and from like basically like a CSV of like data. I didn't. I barely watched the media. The most of the things I watched for the media was like, is there an update for something that is more like a policy that's going to affect me? So like state and stuff like that. But what is the? Do you have a trusted media source that you go to besides the academic papers?
Besides the academic papers,
Yeah, because most
to be
people aren't
honest,
gonna read through those, except we might, because we're
right,
like
right,
that.
right, right.
But
To be honest, I actually don't really follow the media at all, but when I do, I really think I get it from a lot of different media sources, which is
Mhm.
why I don't trust it. Because
Gotcha.
when I see, Fox News says this, and MSNBC, I don't know the difference what they're more leaning towards, but when I see both of them and they kind of say things that are a little different from one another, I just know I should just go read another peer-reviewed article. It's
Yeah,
like
no, I agree.
don't don't bother with it
Because like
because
the articles aren't tainted with opinions.
now I'm not
To
saying,
get views too.
news articles are all wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
I just don't trust the news. I don't trust the
fair.
media really at all.
Yeah,
And
same
that's
here.
just a decision I came to on my own.
No, I,
You know,
I completely agree. It's there's a lot of just extra stuff you don't need.
yeah.
Like if you gave someone a graph of like I don't know, we'll keep bringing it to the pandemic, I guess, because it's the most
Yeah.
relevant science stuff. But you could just give them that rather than having an opinion on how we might
Mm.
have done things or whatever, because that's just a waste of knowledge.
Yeah, I think opinions keep us from moving forward
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Oh, interesting. That's a hot take.
I think opinions keep us from moving forward because honestly, in situations like this, the only thing you can trust is science.
Yeah. No,
You can't.
everyone thinks they're an expert.
Yeah, that's the
What do you
thing.
mean, dude?
Like,
I check the worldometer stats twice a day. I know what I'm talking about.
also, I
I
did
trust
learn
Worldometer. That's the good one.
I did learn something the other day that I forgot who told me. Oh, I think it was my girlfriend's dad. He said not to look at new cases when or deaths or anything in terms of the virus when you're trying to figure out if it's dropping. You're supposed to look at hospital admissions.
Mhm.
Hospital admissions because those are the people that are really, actually going in because they're sick because the more cases are going to show up when more people start getting tested. More people are getting tested every
Yeah.
day because
Exactly.
people are like, "Oh, I'm sick. I should probably go get tested." And the testing is becoming more easy to get. So it's it's kind of like looking at these figures every single day on the news is kind of pointless.
I agree.
You know?
You want that whole picture. It's not going to help you. Just stay inside.
Yeah. So yeah, hospital admissions. If you're ever looking for a way to figure out if it's lowering or not.
There's also like a delay.
Hospital admission.
So like you might see
Yeah.
like 1,000
Mhm.
cases now, or
There's a delay with everything,
yeah, for
especially
like
because
the death specifically. So someone's gonna
es-
die.
well, yeah,
You have
especially
time.
because there's a lot of asymptomatic
Hmm.
people. That's why there's a huge delay in it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people point out just the numbers and they're like, oh, look, it's only this much. They like point out, oh, it's only 1 million. There's 300 people. It's 1 in 300. I'm like, no, it's not. We don't, that's 1 million people we know of.
Yeah.
Who knows how many million we don't know of who are just completely asymptomatic.
Right.
I think it was Sweden or Greenland. I don't remember. Someone did the random testing and sampling, and I think you're supposed to multiply by 10 to get the actual cases.
By
So for
10.
so for every like one person who shows symptoms, there's 10 people are asymptomatic. That could be wrong. It might be 7. I don't remember, but
Uh, hey
there
man,
was like a
if the
research.
guy did the analysis and he
Yeah,
wrote a
there
paper
was.
about it, I'll trust
No, he
it.
did. He did. There's I used those. Yeah, I mean like one of the things I drew from conclusions was it was listing. They were like listing like what'll make you more what's it called, susceptible for like severe cases, and it was listing like all these issues like heart disease, this and this, and I'm like, oh, that's obesity. And then suddenly there was a new like paper that came out, and it was like obese people are getting hit by corona pretty hard. So
Yeah,
hell
that's
yeah.
the thing. Science comes a long way too, and that we constantly hear about new things, but when you look back at them, those were sometimes wrong. You know how like the diets come back all the time and then they go away because people are like, oh, diets are unhealthy for you. Some of them are, but things constantly cycle through, and we look back through the scientific record and you see that things have changed so much
Yep.
because it
100%.
keeps evolving. It's not, it's not stagnant. It's not going to stop changing, and they're not going to stop finding new things.
String theory
You
is a
know,
good example.
I notice a lot of people have lost faith in science because they see that stuff is changing, and because of that they're like, oh, they say one thing one day, one thing the next day, therefore I'm not going to believe in science.
Hmm.
Well, so what's your thoughts on that?
You could say that about anything, really. You know, if you look back, we're not fighting people with swords and pitchforks anymore. It's a lot different world now. Everything changes. They were doing alchemy as science, and we don't take that at face value anymore. They were bleeding people out. They bled George Washington out to try and cure him, and he died. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And the reason that people see it like that is just because they don't you don't keep up with it. So you lose track of things for a couple years maybe, and then all of a sudden something new out. It's like, oh, I read a paper that was contradicting that earlier. Well, it's because someone did research on something else and it came out with better results. And that happens a lot, I think. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people don't believe in medicine and stuff that people have worked their whole lives on. And I think that's kind of depressing. People spend their entire lives doing research for medicine, for what else? Climate change, for example,
Hmm.
and people sit there and they denounce them. And I said, well, what research have you done? You sat there, you know, behind your computer typing comments into the YouTube, talking about your GED and how that's helped you learn that the Earth is flat. I- It's kind of depressing.
I feel you. I feel you.
It is difficult as someone who wants to go into my discipline, that seeing people like that who don't really care about climate change or anything that's going on around the world, in the natural world, because really we have everything to owe to the natural world. Evolution brought us here, in my personal opinion. But you know people just kind of take it with a grain of salt. I was driving on the highway the other day, and this guy almost rear-ended me in his nice little tinted Audi. He pulls up next to me and then just throws a piece of trash out the window and speeds off. I was like, you know, can you just be a little human and stop just come
God
on.
damn, dude.
Yeah.
Pick up the trash.
Jesus.
Although I said a few choice words towards him that I won't repeat.
That's okay. I gave someone the finger on Christmas Eve once.
Christmas Eve, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus, dude, for what? What'd they do?
I don't remember, but she was like I was trying to turn into my street, but there was cars coming in, and then I saw her behind me. She was like, "Can you go?" And I was just like good times.
Dude,
You know, I was
classic.
I was going on the rite of passage, or no, rite of passage, no, the right of way. I had the right of way
Right.
in this parking lot, and this girl was pulling in from the other side. This was in Cape Cod like 4 years ago, and then she didn't see me. She kept going, but I'm like, I have the right of way. I'm gonna keep going, and then she almost hit me. Then she gets out of the car. And she's like, "Watch where you're going, you stupid retard Arab." I'm like, "Jesus Christ!"
Holy
I'm
shit.
That's insane.
Jesus, yeah.
Jesus. That's a hate crime.
Wow. I've never had someone get out of
Yeah.
their car before and yell at me.
No, she just put her window down or
Okay,
something.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was it a Karen?
And then no, later she drove by and she called me a term for, I guess, an offensive term for gay people that starts with F.
So it was a
Friend.
racist Karen.
Racist.
Yeah, it's a homophobic, racist
racist
Karen.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
We've
Yeah.
come a long way, folks.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
That's
Did make for a good story though, so
Well, hey
can't
man,
complain.
we don't have to drive and deal with that crap as much, and also the environment's doing a lot better now because of it.
That's true.
Yeah. I want to ask about that actually. How much better is it actually doing? What's the research on that looking
So
like?
I actually haven't done enough research on that to tell you, but realistically, with all those cars off the road, it, it's a good amount. The problem is not, it's a good start that we're in our houses right now, but as soon as the economy opens back up, as soon as we're ready to go out again, it's gonna go right back to normal. Wildlife is doing
Right.
better now. Wildlife doesn't have as much stress on it. My campus has a lot more wildlife on it. I know I walked through it. There's a lot more squirrels, a lot more deer you see in the morning right now because there's not disturbance, and that's good for them because they have a lot of problems through the winter. But in terms of cars, in terms of CO2, I don't really think it's going to help that much. I think it's a good start, but when we go back to normal, just like there's a buffer between the time we see the corona cases and what's actually happening, there's also a buffer in climate change. There's a buffer in CO2. I don't know if you guys know a lot about that, but I had a class in freshman year it was called oceanography, 123G, and it was about like the G is supposed to be like a grand challenge course at my school. Basically, just you do takes on modern topics and learn about them. So there's a pretty decent buffer with the ocean and everything. The ocean actually absorbs most of the carbon in the atmosphere, and then the atmosphere is also absorbing constantly. And so when we stop, there's still the carbon in the ocean that's slowly being released from what we've already released, into the atmosphere. So the ocean keeps releasing even though we stop using, basically. So
Right,
the
okay,
temperature's
gotcha.
going up. Temperature's going to keep going up, and especially, well, now here's an important thing though, is that livestock. I don't know. You guys know that the livestock, when they fart, dude,
Oh
the
yeah.
amount of methane they release. I think methane's like. Let me look this up.
I thought it was like 30 or 20, right?
I
Yeah.
think.
The cows, man.
Yeah. Fucking farting.
28 times more powerful in terms of the atmosphere. So than carbon dioxide. So methane is a really intense greenhouse gas, and so with the livestock, I don't know. Livestock are kind of declining right now because people aren't able to take care of them. I don't know. I saw some article on like chickens being like extirpated from this farm. But hey, if livestock go down, then that would help the environment a little bit too.
Chickens are better, right? The cows are.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
So is it what
They
the cows eat? that makes them
Mm,
fart? Like,
well, it's not
or is
what
it
they eat; it's how they metabolize it.
okay? So like,
So I think
even
I
if you did
believe.
grass fed or anything, it's still like
Mhm.
okay,
Oh yeah, it doesn't make a difference.
gotcha.
But they're trying to use the methane from cows to like power something too. I know they use methane from landfills to make some gas at some landfills. I don't know about ours around here, Zach, but
Yeah. How do you collect the cow farts though? How does that?
I saw this one video of there was it was actually really weird. They had like a little porthole into the cow's stomach, like it
Okay.
was a glass porthole, and but they were collecting it from the stomach, so they had
Ugh.
something inserted in the stomach. It was actually kind of gross. I'm Yeah, I'm not gonna lie,
No,
that
I've
wasn't
seen
my
that.
favorite thing. Yeah,
If the
it's
cow
weird.
can't digest stuff, there's like a cap they take off and they like take it out. It's fucking gross. Uh,
Uh, dude,
just
that's
just
nasty.
just eat chicken. It's a little better.
But I still eat burgers, dude. I
Yeah,
don't
me
know.
too. I had one last night. What about pigs? I really like bacon.
I don't know a lot about pigs.
Okay.
I like bacon though.
I know that fish it's the lowest out of all of them.
Fish? Oh God. Yeah. So I'd like to tell everyone to start eating fish, but at the same time, we can't afford that, you know?
Sure.
I don't know how much you guys know about the fisheries and stuff,
Hmm.
but America's done a terrible job at controlling the fisheries. There's this guy called the Codfather.
The codfather.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. They call him the Codfather. He basically there were these laws that he circumvented and somehow gained a fleet of fishing boats and was able to and just kept misreporting his catches, misreporting his bycatch. Bycatch is just a fancy term for what you catch that you're not trying to catch. So say
Hmm.
you catch a swordfish when you're trying to catch cod, or there's some fish that you're not allowed to catch. The problem with bycatch is like, oh, bycatch laws. It's like you can't catch this fish, so it becomes bycatch. When you bycatch, it typically dies. So there's literally no reason for it.
Hmm.
You know, it typically dies unless you throw it back. But anyway, he was misreporting. He had a whole fleet of vessels, and he was eventually taken down. But you know, we were too slow to slow down that over harvesting. You know, and in the 1900s, we actually let these huge fishing vessels from other countries come in and take tons and tons of cod and any fish you can imagine, tuna, and they just took it back. And now our fisheries are devastated. If you want
Damn.
to look at a good example of who did a good job, it's I think Greenland. They have very healthy fisheries right now, and they're actually harvesting very safely, and they're not actually gonna run out of fish like we are.
What about the farm fish?
Farm fish. Okay.
Sustainable farmed fish.
See, I have so many opinions about those because aquaculture is really important for sustaining the growing population in
Hmm.
terms of fish, because it is an easy way to grow them, and also GMO. I'm a strong advocate for GMO, honestly. I know it doesn't sound right coming from someone who wants to like save the environment, whatever, because they do impact the ecosystems around them in ways. But I think GMOs are really important because they do provide us with that extra food. You know, they can make salmon bigger. Um, they can make tomatoes bigger, whatever. So aquaculture is, in that sense, important. I don't think that we should be growing GMO aquaculture in the ocean because a lot of times those fish escape, and when they get into the environment, those GMO fish actually um, are stronger. Um, how do I say it? They're stronger uh, for females. Females want to see that. You know, the female fish will go after those.
They
You know,
want that GMO,
they want
that
that
big
GMO
GMO
fish because
energy.
it's big. You know, they want the GMO energy, the big GMO energy.
Okay.
So you get what I'm saying is that the genetics kind of change in in the wild, which is something that I think shouldn't happen. I think that's the problem with the aquaculture. But I do support like filter feeders in terms of aquaculture, like mussels and oysters. Um, so there's a
Now,
lot
what are
of
the dangers of GMO fish in the environment.
Yeah,
Why is that a
so I
bad
mean,
thing?
they're just like a lot bigger. They're slower too, I think. Um, so
Thick.
they do, yeah. So by providing or by releasing them or by them getting out, they kind of disrupt the population that they're going back to. So say it's a salmon that goes to live with more salmon. Um, it kind of puts a different genetic twist on their population that's not necessarily natural. And I think that that's not. I don't think that's a good thing at all because it could
Yeah,
salmon getting bigger over time. Say a bunch of them get out and the next group of salmon are just bigger and bigger and bigger. That actually kind of ruins their chances against their predators because the reason that the salmon are the way they are and the size that they are is because of how evolution helped them, helped them. It doesn't really help anybody, it's just kind of natural selection. They're streamlined in the way they work is to get away from their predators. So as GMO bigger fish, take over the population, the fish get bigger because of that genetic difference. You
all
get
right,
slower.
gotcha.
Yeah. So it could have an impact. I'm not sure of the studies on it. That's just my speculation.
Gotcha.
I'm not really sure of the studies though.
Cool. At least
Yeah,
oysters.
I know.
Oysters good though. Like
Oysters.
I
Yeah,
fuck with
no,
just oysters.
oysters are good. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like them out in the water. They're kind of just like
Just floating.
lines
Yeah.
of floating things, and there's rope coming down from them. There's typically a guy near us said he starts with 3 billion eggs, and he puts them all on the ropes, and they grow over the season. And I think that's good because they're filter feeders, so they clean the water, and you also get harvest out of them. So
Hell
there's a
yeah.
double, there's a double,
That is
you
the
know,
best thing I've ever heard. Eat more oysters. I
eat
could
more
fuck with that.
oysters.
I would fuck with that.
Eat more oysters, dude.
That's the
Yeah, for
title of
sure.
your journalism. Eat more oysters.
Eat more oysters.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh wow. I'm just looking up pictures of oyster farms.
They're cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely be an oyster farmer, dude.
Dude, I'd fuck with you. Hell yeah, I'd do that. That'd be
I
awesome.
could supply you with some oysters.
Fuck yes.
Well, they're actually having a lot of issues though with in terms of how the water is changing. So they're actually losing a lot of their catch, a lot of their harvest during the year,
Yeah,
just because of temporal differences.
I
And
saw
and
that
yeah,
when I was in Maine at Acadia National Park. There was this like thing that I was reading. It talked about how like the menus are gonna change just because animals are. I think they're going that way. That's north, by the way. They're going. Some of them are
animals are
going
moving
that way.
north. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Lobsters especially. Lobsters are
That's
moving north.
that's a big fucking L. That's sad.
Hmm.
I like me some shellfish. I don't want to eat any
Yeah,
dirty
no,
dirty
lobsters are
southern
moving
fish.
north because the water, the water's getting warmer
It's sad.
down here. They live in colder environments, so yeah.
Gotta get some ice
And
cubes.
New England's losing its fisheries very
Oh
fast.
no. No.
I don't like fish, so it's okay with me.
No, you don't
Damn.
understand. Fish is
Well,
like
God
the thing
damn
is,
it.
the thing is,
I love fish.
the legislation just is too slow. These fishermen are living paycheck by paycheck, and they really can't catch enough anymore, and the legislation is just too slow to help them.
think there's a private solution.
I don't know, man. Start bringing start bringing that into. I don't think there is though because the government owns that water, so I don't really think you could get without the clearance of the government, you couldn't get a private business in there. And so
Gotcha.
no. Yeah, so the I believe so 3 miles out from the coast of Rhode Island and every state is owned by the state. Then the next 200 miles are owned by the federal government. Then after that, it's open sea. So, like I said, we were actually letting we were letting boats come in and fish in those 200 miles. So we decimated our own fisheries, and now we have huge problems because of it.
God damn it.
Yeah, I was almost
That's
in
too
marine
bad.
affairs, which is basically just like marine law. So I learned a little bit about that too in the beginning of my education at URI.
I thought that
What
was
got you into this field?
Into the field.
Yeah.
Um,
Why'd you choose going in here?
I don't honestly. It's weird for me because I started. I wanted to take AP Environmental Science in high school, and after that class, I just found that I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was
Dope.
probably one of the most interesting things that I learned about. Learning about the entire biosphere is just very cool to me. I find my most interest lies in climate change, not really wildlife as a whole. But I do like certain species, and I would like to work with certain species and try to rehabilitate and work with them at some point in my life. But realistically, as someone going to my discipline, I'm not going to have one job. I'm going to be working. I'm probably going to have a bunch of different jobs throughout my life. I don't know. You guys may have like 2 or 3 jobs. I don't know. My mom's had, through her career, she's had like 4 jobs maybe, but she's worked in the same discipline.
Mhm.
I think that I might end up jumping around.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like kill yourself.
Well,
Jesus.
Yeah, no, that might come if we're in quarantine too long.
Oh damn.
oh man.
But yeah, I just found interest in environmental science, and then I wanted to go into marine affairs, which was basically marine law, because I, could get regional tuition from it. A lot of it was a money thing to start with, and then I found that wildlife management was pretty interesting to me as well. So
Nice.
Very
Let's
cool.
go. And for someone watching this or listening to this, what if, or just any layman, what if they wanted to, fact check their articles? What's an easy way for them to start to be sure that what they're reading is the truth, something quick they could do?
yeah,
What's
well,
one change?
if you're really interested in kind of making conclusions that you feel good about and that you can go, explain to people in a way that makes sense, I just say use Google Scholar. Google Scholar is really important, and you know, it is very easy to find peer-reviewed stuff, and you have to learn how to search properly. Google is like one of the most helpful things in the world if you know how to use it right. So, search terms are very important. You have to kind of fiddle around with your search terms. Excuse me. And I'm still learning how to do that myself. It's not something you learn in like a year or two because
Hmm.
there's a lot of different things that go into it. So if you're looking, for example, for information on, I don't know, give me a topic. I don't care.
Octopus.
Oh God.
So you're looking for information on octopus. You want to kind of narrow your search, right? You want to learn about first the biology of the octopus because that's important. Maybe you want to learn about how to conserve the octopus. There's a lot of search terms that go into it, and if you're looking into how to conserve an octopus, right, you have to look at what they do during their day, what what issues do they run into during a day, how does climate change affect them. So you kind of have to read a bunch of different articles for that octopus in order to it's research isn't easy, and I hate it, honestly. It does take a lot of work. It really does. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but if you find articles that you're interested in, it is very easy to read. And
Okay.
in terms of looking through those articles, just point out key terms to yourself, look them up if you don't know them, um, and just kind of look at everything with a critical eye, even if it is a peer review. Ask yourself questions throughout the paper. Um, for example, I had a paper that was about sharks in mangroves that I read, and it it explained in the methods section that some of their transponders that they recorded their shark. So they were doing like sharks and what is their home range and stuff, and how that relates to site fidelity, whatever. So some of their transponders didn't work properly, and I'm sitting there asking, does this affect the data? How does this impact the data? And that's why they have those things in place. Put your methods in. Did something go wrong? People can ask questions if it did. And
Mhm.
so fact checking is always very good, and asking yourself questions and just learning how to Google search. it's still something I can't talk about that much because I'm not very good at it yet. But it is difficult. Search terms are important though.
So what about? I know Wikipedia has come a long way since it's first started.
That's what I was gonna ask
Do
about
you?
next.
Okay, so Akash and I are big. Well, I don't want to speak for Akash, but I'm a big promoter of Wikipedia just because it's, in a way, it is maybe peer reviewed because a lot of people have to go through it. What is your opinion on that as like a high level? I wouldn't use it for like research, and I wouldn't quote
Right.
Wikipedia, but like as a high level for getting started. Do you
I
recommend
played a Wikipedia speedrun with my girlfriend the other day.
Hell yeah.
No,
Hell
no.
yeah.
Honestly though, I think I use it. It's a very good tool for background information. I think that's probably one of the most important things about Wikipedia is that you can trust it to an extent.
Mhm.
It is a really easy search engine to use. Because there are all those hyperlinks if you want to learn more backstories or do a speed run in it, you can. And it is good for background information, but if you're looking for anything scientific or further from that, I don't suggest it at all.
Okay.
Because that I think that could be a little bias in what people are writing about.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how Wikipedia works though. How can just anybody write on it? I don't understand that.
Well, I think you
Yeah, I was
can,
testing it the other day.
but you have to
You don't
get
even need an
reviewed.
account.
Oh, really?
No, dude. I changed it. I changed the spelling of school to SCHOL instead of OOL, and I pulled it up on another tab and refreshed the page, and it was updated instantly.
Ooh.
I'm
Maybe I
trusting
gotta try on
Wikipedia
a
on
new
this.
device.
Wait, do you have the page that this was on? Is it still there?
It's gone. It was like gone within a few hours. Someone else
Oh,
found
so
it
maybe
and
they
fixed it.
do. Maybe it is checked.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
good
people
checks
are
and balance though.
checking it. I don't know
So
how. I don't know who's doing it though.
if you happen to
Like,
come in through the window where someone like you were to just randomly change a sentence and someone hasn't changed it back yet, then you might have
yeah,
problems.
yeah, because it's not instant for sure. I don't know when exactly they change it, but
I
That's a
gotta
probably
look
weird
just like
into
a
it.
15-minute time period.
We could do a show on Wikipedia, like Wikipediaception. How does Wikipedia work?
Zach, you think we could create a Wikipedia page for the show?
Yeah,
Probably could.
we can. No one's
Anyone
gonna.
could just create it.
I don't think anyone's
The
gonna.
Zach and Akash
I mean,
show.
someone could shit on us, but like.
You should
Yeah,
try
for
and do
sure.
that. I don't know. Maybe take an episode and try and do that.
Okay.
That'd be a good one.
So how did the seasons work? How are you guys on season 2?
It was more of an organizational thing for us because we have a schedule now for when we do things. So Friday's always a guest. Sunday is my Wikipedia show. Wednesday's Akash's Wikipedia show. Monday we were doing self improvement, but we decided we hated that. So that's gonna be like a situational thing. I guess it could be like an ethics version of the show. Tuesday we pick a random topic and do like questions from people. And Thursday is like business/career development. So
Cool.
all over the place.
Yeah, I think every time we go through a huge change, we also like did the design revamp or something. So every time we do something like that, we'll probably coin a new season.
It's going good though. We're getting good stuff
Yeah,
on here. Diversity of
bad.
knowledge.
Ryan said the livestock crisis was not from an article. It's a news story going around to make another shortage. Okay.
I have no idea to be honest.
I could take it honestly because here's how that goes too, because you know how the CDC originally was telling us not to wear masks and now they're telling
Now
us to
they
wear
are.
masks.
Yep.
It's because they fixed the shortage for a bit, So because there was a huge shortage, so they're like, don't use masks, and everyone's like, oh, don't use masks.
Yeah. I mean,
And yeah,
the whole mask thing was like
so I
just
can
not
believe
enough.
that, Brian. Honestly,
Yeah.
I can believe that. That's not. Have you seen that video of all the news stations like opening with the same thing and like the same title and the same words? They're kind of like, it's one of those videos where they put a bunch of news stations together, like all saying the same thing at the same time. It's
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that.
I want to. You should try and find that because it's extremely automated. Like the news is automated as hell.
Dude, fuck the media.
They all opened with literally the same paragraph of text.
Damn it.
Wow.
I don't know what it was talking about, but I have to go back and look at it. It was kind of crazy. I think I saw it on TikTok.
Nice. We should start our own fucking. We should start our own media, a new one.
The
Follow.
Everyone says the reliable media source is that's their motto. It's like, oh, the only reliable news source, and now that's gonna be us now. The
Yeah.
only reliable news source.
Until we get a big check.
We'll turn follow from social media to just media.
Oh, Brian saw the video that I was talking about.
Journalism's cool though, man. It's like, all right,
It's cool.
Yeah, that's
It
just like a
is cool.
topic for another day, but it's cool stuff. But
Journalism is cool.
I don't like mainstream anymore.
People get bad.
I mean,
Journalists get a bad rep, but I think that
It's
some
tainted.
journalism is very important.
mainstream, they want to make money,
I
and
know.
they're going to do whatever grabs your
Oh yeah,
attention.
exactly. That's why.
And
That's why I don't
the
trust
thing
it.
I hate most is all they care about is right now, because what gets their attention is polarizing people, taking it completely through the emotional route, just what everyone's doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should take a day and talk about media, dude. It's one hell of a fucking can of beans, dude. You look down, like you can look at a news article and then look at the actual story, and the title can be completely misleading. There's just back when they were having the race wars and whatever, like a few years ago, there were people just everything. You know how all those like police officers were getting shot, and then
Mhm.
black people were getting shot, and then the media just pinned everyone against each other, and it's just scary, dude, because they just want to appeal to your emotions. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
what
not
the
good.
story is, what it is, or not. You know, you can take a picture and make it anything.
Fuck.
It's why I don't. It's like predominantly why I don't watch the news.
You know,
dude. It's insane.
We should have a debate on this show. We should have debate night. We'll get all of our guests, and we'll have a topic, and Akash and I will watch, and we'll like moderate, and we'll just have everyone rip each other.
We'll just have popcorn.
Yeah. I would really like that.
Oh,
I
that could
think
be fun, dude. Get two people on opposite sides debating each other.
Dude, we get a
Yeah.
shit ton of people. Like we'll have it
Yeah,
organized,
that'd be
but everyone
dope.
will just rip each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, dude, the media just splits people apart, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest issue with it, is that, when we're having these issues, especially with like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, and just the freedom of everyone wants equality, but no one gets it because the media tells us something's happening, but it's
It's tainted.
yeah, no one works together because everyone's against each other.
That's why I have no political party now. It's because
Yep.
we're all
I
tainted.
I still haven't registered to vote.
You know, a lot of people would like attack you for that.
Dude, my friend has screamed at me before.
Fucking calm
He
down.
screamed at me because of it. I'm like, dude, relax.
Not voting is still.
He's
a
like,
choice.
your vote matters. Your vote. I'm like, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I don't care. I mean, if I cared, see, the thing is, I don't feel like I'm qualified to vote because I don't care enough. I don't listen to enough. Why should I vote if I don't listen to a single person, a single candidate?
That's
you know?
true.
See, a lot of people don't have that self-awareness. The one thing I hate most is people who are, again, making completely emotionally based votes.
Right. It's
With
like
no
Trump.
education behind it whatsoever.
You wanna know how I
Trump's
voted?
dead. Yeah. Wow, how'd you do that? Did you pick
I
out of
made
a
a
hat?
I made a like a little pattern. I just like varied between parties. I was like, I'll just distribute it. Fuck it. I don't know who
Yeah,
anybody is.
Yeah, but I just don't think I have the right to vote, man. I mean, I have the right constitutionally,
Yeah.
but I don't think I should do it because I don't care. I mean, I care to the point where it affects the environment, how these people are impacting the environment, but what they say doesn't necessarily happen, and
Yeah.
that's why I don't listen to them. I don't know. I call me a Scrooge of the politics, but
True love of your country is when you know its problems.
I
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know its problems though. See, we all say that we know the problems.
I
but
know we all think we're important. We're all just gonna die.
Maybe
one
when
day.
I'm older, maybe when I know more, I'll vote.
That's true. Just make patterns, dude. Doesn't do
Patterns.
anything. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, so I vote on like, so in Mansfield there was like a election to like put a new school in Mansfield, and I voted for that. Like I think I said yes. Like the wording was so confusing. I had to like ask someone. I was like, "What says what?" That's the
So
one thing I voted for.
you voted for something.
I think I said build a school.
How did you vote for that?
I'm registered in Mansfield,
Oh, okay.
so there was
How
like
are you registered in Mansfield? What's in Mansfield?
Yukon.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you were in
I'm a resident of Mansfield now.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
defected from
You
Simsbury.
defected from the
Oh,
union.
I just said where I lived. Whatever. But yeah.
Well,
Okay.
now
Well,
that we've segued
All right.
away from the topic.
yeah, I know.
That's
All
all
right.
right.
We're
Cool stuff. Oh, it's May 1st.
we're at the last stretch.
Oh yeah.
John, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks
Any
for having me.
last words?
Any last words? Just be mindful. You know, don't take everything at face value, and try and protect the environment. Do your part. Use reusable stuff. You know, reusable cups. That's the best thing you could do. Don't drive angry. Driving environmentally is important. You can do that. I put cruise control on a lot. You know, just anything you can do. Anything you can do helps. So
I
there you
put
go.
a plastic bag on the exhaust and then I throw the bag.
Oh
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the plastic bag gets lost while you're driving. And you,
I'm just kidding.
But yeah,
Okay.
I just
that's about it.
put a
Just start-
hose in the exhaust and then feed it into the car and close up the windows.
Oh,
and let it out.
infinite energy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just be mindful. That's all.
Okay. Cool stuff.
Cool stuff, man.
We definitely got to come back to like more of these topics. So we just scrape the surface. But we'll
Yeah. Yeah, we did. I can definitely do you know, more research on them if you want to know.
yeah, man.
I have to. My discipline is like all about wildlife right now, so I'm kind of rusty with the oceanography and climate change stuff because I took that freshman year.
I feel you.
But it's definitely a very important topic to learn. It's important to understand the Earth.
Yeah. I
Cool,
agree.
cool.
Cool. All right.
Oh,
All right.
Oh gosh, you got to do the sign off. That's your job.
sure, I'll do the sign off. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you're watching right now, which I think it's only Brian or whoever watches later, you'll notice there's no social media thing at the top from this way. Because we got to create the guest template for it.
I'll put it
But
right
anyway,
here
it's
next time.
if you want to listen to us, it's going to be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, a bunch of other random things, and also Instagram at the Sack and Aakash Show if you want to reach out to us and follow us. And if you're listening to us, come check us out live at 9 a.m. from Sunday through Friday. So with that said, thank you for watching / listening, and we will see you Sunday.
Yep. The times might be different next week, but we'll go over that. All right.
Oh
Bye.
yeah, we got to talk about that.
Bye everyone.
Peace.